Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network, a division of the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network. The following program broadcast is an original creation by the broadcast entity. Discussion within the following broadcast should be used for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice or consultation. Before considering application of any broadcast content in the following program, please consult your healthcare provider. If you feel you are having a medical emergency, please contact your local health services for immediate assistance. MS&Me Media and the Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network do not guarantee or warrant the accuracy of information in the broadcast to follow. The Multiple Sclerosis Global Support Network provisions broadcast services to program hosts. Information discussed in the broadcast does not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, or goals of the network and are solely those of the show broadcast host. Should you wish to host a broadcast, please visit our website at msmemedia.com and submit a request to become a program host. We thank you for listening to the MS&Me Radio Network. Enjoy the show.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Chronically Well Club Radio. My name is Rebecca Naylor, and I'm a health coach from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I created Chronically Well Club at the beginning of 2017 to celebrate 20 years living with multiple sclerosis in remission. And Chronically Well Club is meant to inspire people, educate people, and help as many people as I can to discover your power to heal and really recreate your life, because there's so much you can do on your own outside of traditional medical care. And we're talking about lifestyle medicine and functional medicine. So I've developed something called the 9 Keys of Healing. If you've been following me, you know that it used to be 8, and I eventually had to add another key because I just couldn't cram it all into 8. So my 9 Keys of Healing are as follows: diet, toxins, emotions, communication, environment, movement, cognition, mindset, and gut. So these are the things that I think, after living with MS for 20 years, are crucial for people with MS to really learn about, understand, and take ownership over so that they can become as healthy as they can be in their lives. So for today's episode, I am going to be talking about Thanksgiving and receiving. So in Canada here, we just finished our Thanksgiving, which is, I understand, earlier than the American Thanksgiving. So I've just returned from several days away visiting with my mother and my sister in London, Ontario, where I grew up. We're originally from the UK, but my family lives in London, Ontario now. And I started thinking a lot about Thanksgiving even a week before Thanksgiving, as I was attending an inspirational talk. And the person who was speaking said Happy Thanksgiving and receiving. And it caught everyone's attention because usually we don't think about receiving when we're talking about Thanksgiving. However, the speaker then went on to talk about something called the law of reciprocity. Now, this is something I've heard about on numerous occasions, and I thought, oh, interesting, to apply that to the idea of Thanksgiving. So the law of reciprocity is something that exists in several different spiritual philosophies, and essentially it says that we live in a reciprocal universe. Give and take, that this is something that is inherent in nature, cannot be avoided, is happening as a law of nature, whether we like it or not, essentially. So what does that mean? What is this law of reciprocity? Well, first of all, it means that as you believe, so shall be. So essentially that as you put your thoughts out into the universe, what is reciprocated back to you is essentially what you think. Now, this doesn't mean think about $1 million and it's going to appear in front of you. It simply means that the tendency of our thoughts, the habit of our thoughts, the things we tend to focus on, dwell on, play over and over again in our mind, those things become the focus of our lives, and it affects our beliefs, our actions, our behaviors, our communications, and it often leads to results that are essentially self-fulfilling prophecies. So, as you believe, so shall be. And also, as is in many spiritual and religious institutions, the belief that as done unto others will be done unto you. So basically that as you give, so shall you receive. So I've been thinking about this a lot recently as I've been going through this big transition in my life. from formerly being a 14-year veteran high school teacher to having a very different life now, where I've left teaching as it was really not good for my health, and I am recreating my life, just as I encourage all of my listeners to do. So I had a lot of time for reflection this Thanksgiving. It was a lovely Thanksgiving, and I as I was driving to London, it's about 2 hours drive from Toronto, it was just me and my little puppy Benji in the car. I had a lot of time to think, and I started to make a list of things that I had become increasingly aware of and that I was feeling very grateful for in my life, and things that specifically were an example, I thought, of this law of reciprocity. So let's talk about a few of those examples, and hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll have a better understanding of what this law of reciprocity is. And maybe you might even be able to pronounce it. It takes some practice, trust me. So, some examples from my life. So first of all, last week I had a really exciting meeting. I was meeting with someone who is a real mentor to me, somebody who also works in, I suppose what you would call the field of alternative healthcare or lifestyle medicine, someone who I have learned a lot from, who I really look up to, and who I decided like a year ago I was going to collaborate with and eventually work with. And I've been planting seeds throughout the past year as I've communicated with this person, and I've done a lot of things to demonstrate what I am committed to doing and how my mission and my values when it comes to healthcare and wellness are very much in line with this person's. And I believe that very much it was all the things that I've done to give to this person and their mission over the past year, which has allowed me to now start receiving. If you just walk up to somebody and say, hey, I like you, hire me. I don't know, maybe you've got a great smile and you've got a chance, but generally people are going to be like, who are you and why should I work with you? So I feel like you got to give a little first in order to get recognition and get the opportunity to really share. So over the past year, I've been doing a lot of things. I have been cross-referring my clients to this person as they're able to help in a part of the healthcare industry that is not something that I offer. I have been helping to promote their work online, sharing things that are aligned with my values. I have been participating in webinars and other things that they offer, as well as in-person live workshops, and providing testimonials and feedback that are helping them to grow their community and help more people. So I know that as I've been doing this for the past year, I've been slowly bringing myself into the awareness of the person that I want to collaborate with. And sure enough, back in June, they essentially said, hey, I'm noticing you. I see you've got some potential, and sent me on their dime to a wellness conference in June, which really opened my eyes to so much potential. And I realized what I needed to do to prepare to work with this person. I spent the past few months doing that, and finally I proposed a meeting with them last week. And long story short, it was a very positive meeting, and I think we're going to move forward with some really exciting collaborations. And I bring it up because to me that is a key example of the law of reciprocity. I contributed to this person and their mission and how they were contributing to their community, and therefore they recognized what I was offering and also wanted to give me the opportunity to contribute and to help me to grow what I'm doing. And in fact, this person actually put a shout out to their very large social media community recently to share about this very radio show, which was super exciting. So there's one example of the law of reciprocity. I'm going to see how many times I can say that in this episode. Okay, so a few other things I've noticed recently. One not so fun thing that I had to do this weekend, while my awesome mother was cooking the turkey, our nice, yummy, grass-fed, free-range organic turkey, I had to fill out my medical questionnaire for my long-term disability application. So if you've been following, you know that yes, I remain in clinical remission with no lesions on my MRIs. However, I do have symptoms which increase and decrease in direct relationship to my stress levels. And because teaching is so stressful, I am at this point unable to work and maintain my wellness. So I am applying for long-term disability in order to pursue another career path. And as I was filling out this application, it ended up being 7 typed pages of information answering 23 questions, all about, well, everything that sucks in my life. It's like, basically, what hurts? Why is it stopping you? What's the worst that's happening? What are your barriers? How bad is it? Like, it was just like, I felt like emotionally I was just being punched down with every question. And what was interesting is that by the time I finished writing the answers to this application, I actually noticed some of my MS symptoms coming up. Like, I noticed some neuropathy in my hand and all sort of things. And so I realized that was an example of the law of reciprocity, right? As you think, so becomes. As you believe, so shall be. So as I was writing all this stuff that was really, really negative, that was what I started in that moment to believe was my reality, could be my future. And so my body started to exhibit those actual symptoms. Now, some of you might be thinking, isn't that just placebo? The placebo reaction. Placebo's real. I do not deny it. In fact, I think placebo is awesome. And placebo needs to be harnessed because our minds are incredibly powerful. And what we believe does really happen, which is awesome, right? Because all we have to do is convince ourselves to believe something and we can heal. We really can, right? So just as negatively, I can read all this awful stuff in my medical questionnaire and start to feel sick, I can also choose to do things like gratitude writing and affirmative prayer writing, where I write in present tense, personal, first person about how I want my life to be awesome. And then I start to believe and feel that as well. So that's pretty cool. Some other things that I noticed. Animals pick up on our emotions, and they are an example of the law of reciprocity as well. Have you ever noticed toddlers and young children do this as well? Everyone does it, especially, but especially young children and animals. If you come home and you're stressed and angry, does the toddler not act up? Does the animal not get all demanding and need your attention and be whiny and bitey and all those things, right? Whereas if you come home and you're peaceful and calm and joyous, the child is peaceful, calm, and joyous. The puppy is cuddly and happy and snuggling up with you. So I noticed that, where that day that I was filling out my LTD application, my puppy was crazy. He was driving my whole family nuts. And I believe it's because he was picking up on my very, very, very messy energy and reflecting it back to me. Because sure enough, once I sent in that application and had some time to reflect and through conscious and purposeful directed thought, bring myself back into a place of affirming what is awesome about my life, my puppy totally took a chill pill and was awesome for the rest of the weekend and, slept for hours the next day. So I definitely think that's another example. And sometimes we see this in our lives in very practical ways. Just things like, I brought a lot of food to Thanksgiving. I brought the turkey, I brought some steaks, I brought, because I've got this great butcher in Toronto where I can get these really great grass-fed cuts and everything. So yeah, I gave that. I gave that to my family, but I bring home leftovers. How awesome is that, right? I give, they cook, I bring home the leftovers. So there's a practical example just to break up the theoretical. All right, what else do we have here? Oh yeah, so some of the things that I'm doing in my life right now, as I'm exploring really what I can do for the community and the MS community in particular, I've really partnered up with a couple of companies that I feel so passionate about. And it was hard for me to align myself with any company because I'm very cautious of endorsing anything or anyone. I don't have a single t-shirt that has a brand name on it. But these two companies have tools that are so beneficial for me as a person with MS that I really could not help myself but want to share them with the MS community. And so I started to think, how can I be of service and share these tools? So there's the giving. So the tools, which I'm not going to go into detail about, you can find out more about them on my website, but essentially they are essential oils And they are a neurostimulation device, which is worn on the feet, that puts your brainstem into homeostasis and improves your balance, strength, flexibility, range of motion, all that great stuff. So I started to think, how can I best share these things? So for the past couple of months, I've been offering some free education classes about what are essential oils and how you can use them to benefit your health, your family's health, your emotional health, physical health, spiritual health. And I just love it because every time I give that information to my community, I get so much back. I get ideas about how I can help myself, right? Because maybe when I'm doing the one-on-one working with people at the end of the class, and someone might say, oh, I kind of need an oil to help me with, let's say joint stiffness or something. And I think, oh, I don't have joint stiffness. Okay, let me look it up in my little essential oils medical book here and find out and learn and find out which oils are useful for that. And by doing that research, I then end up learning, oh, I didn't know that oil was an analgesic or that oil was an anti-inflammatory. And I get ideas about different ways of combining them for myself. So, by helping other people to help themselves, I in turn help myself, right? Because I'm learning more about things that can help me. It's the same with the neurostimulation tools. When I see somebody who I can see clearly is out of balance, like one of my neighbors who is an older gentleman in his 80s, and I noticed that he was having trouble with balance. When I break out these tools and put them through a balance test and show them how instantly when they wear this device, it can change their life, just like seeing the expression on their face and seeing how much joy and hope it brings them, I know how much their quality of life is improving. And that knowledge is by itself improving my life. Now, the other reason I bring up these things is because, both of these companies work as essentially network marketing, which I used to think of as like a bad word, otherwise known as direct sales, essentially like the old Tupperware or Avon companies, right, where one person represents and sort of shares with friends and neighbors and acts as a distributor. And yes, you do get a small commission from doing that. I used to think that those companies were so shady. But these two companies that I work with have so inspired me with their missions for global health and wellness, the philanthropic aspect of it, how they're paying for their own research and third-party testing, how they have all of these amazing projects going on around the world to help different communities in developing countries, et cetera, et cetera. So I get so much satisfaction from aligning myself with these two particular companies. And let's be real here, there's money, right? I mean, I just have stepped down from teaching after 14, almost 15 years. And one of the things that was a benefit of teaching, not the reason why I did it, but a benefit was the fact that you had a very stable, predictable income. Now, we know that the causes of stress are uncertainty, lack of information, and loss of control. So when you don't know how much you're going to be paid, you don't have control over how much you're going to be paid, and you don't have any information about how you can get paid, that can be very stressful. So that's what I'm discovering right now. And, most of you who have MS probably know that we're still capable. There are lots of things we can do to contribute in this world, but we need things that are flexible, that accommodate our individual needs, right? We know of this as the snowflake disease. So because it's different for every person. And for me, like, I need immediate access to the bathrooms. I need self-directed time so that I can work tons of hours on days when I have lots of energy and take days off as needed, because it's so unpredictable. So those are some of the things that I need in a job. And as much as I avoided the idea of network marketing in the beginning, it actually, folks, makes perfect sense for people like us who have special needs, right? And so I have really come to see this as a really awesome choice for us to explore as a way of earning income for ourselves, by aligning ourselves with companies that we connect with and that we feel passionate about and that match our values and our own personal missions. So those are the two companies I work with, the neurostimulation devices and the essential oils, because that it matches my passion for working as a health coach and helping people to manage their illness through lifestyle modifications. Maybe your passion is cooking and prepared meals, or healthier cosmetics, or who knows? Like, there's so many different direct sales companies out there, and I didn't realize that really when you work for one of these companies, you're essentially self-employed, but you're within a structure where you have a lot of support and teamwork. So I really have benefited from this. So as I said, I'm giving free classes, teaching, because I still do love to teach, even though I'm not working for the school board anymore. So I'm getting to use my skills. I'm getting to help my community be more healthy. And yeah, at the end of the day, I get a little bit of a commission. Is it replacing my teaching salary? Heck no. But it's a little bit of spending money that's helping me get by, and because I still don't know if I'm gonna get long-term disability insurance, right? So yeah, something to consider. Another example of the law of reciprocity in action. So a few other ways this law has been active in my life recently. Releasing my pride and asking for help. I joke about having had to take a deposit out of the bank of mom. So over the past couple of years, I've had to take a lot of time off. There's been a lot of medical expenses. Even though technically we have universal health care in Canada, all that really means is free drugs and surgery. Any other way you want to take care of yourself is out of pocket. So yeah, savings have dwindled and there's not much left. And I was at the point of really stressing about this. And by giving up my pride, okay, and giving my mother the opportunity to help me, I was then able to receive a temporary loan. And it really is giving my mom the opportunity, because she's my mother and she doesn't want me to suffer, of course, right? And she feels better knowing that I'm taken care of. So that is a win-win situation for all of us. Another example of the law of reciprocity is just recognizing that we do need to accept the negative in order to enjoy the positive in our lives, right? So we give, we receive. So my puppy, Benji, I absolutely adore him. He's a miniature poodle, silver beige, full of smiles, but wow, is he ever full of energy, even though he just turned 1 and he's no longer technically a puppy. Whew, he's a lot to keep up with. And I give to him, and I give to him, and I give to him. I give him food and water and walks and walks and walks and more walks and lots of playtime and soccer in the park when I can. And oh, wow, I just give him a lot of attention. But so I receive, right? I receive knowing my neighbors better because I'm getting out into the community. I receive physical fitness from the walks that we go on. I receive the joy of companionship and the comfort of a hug, right? A cuddling with him on a daily basis, and just sharing my life with a companion. Because yeah, I'm single. I have no family in Toronto. I live on my own. That sounds kind of sad, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay. Because I love myself and I have my puppy. And I'm sticking with that story. Okay, what other examples do we have of the law of reciprocity? Yes, so I shared some of the toxic-free products I've discovered from my essential oils companies, like toxic-free hand soaps and shampoo and conditioner and cleaner concentrates and laundry detergents that are infused with beneficial essential oils. So I shared them with family members, and what I received back from that, the knowledge that my family members are as healthy as they can be and are going to be with me and well for longer. So that is a great example of that. And then, I see this happening in many other ways, just things like throughout the weekend as we're recycling products and reusing products and trying to reduce our waste and composting. Those are ways that we give back to the earth. And what do we receive from that? We receive less pollution. We receive protecting species that are endangered. We receive beautiful sunsets and sunrises. We receive clean air and fresh water and all these things still here for our children and grandchildren. So I could go on and on and on, but start thinking about this in your own lives. In what ways do you see this law of reciprocity in action? Either your thoughts becoming things, or as you give, so you receive. Because this is applicable to many different parts of our health. If we go back to the 9 keys that I talked about, right? An emotion, like for example, forgiveness. When we give forgiveness, we receive peace. Isn't that a great example, right? So much that we can do with these ideas. So I'm going to stop there for now and just say that the one other thing that I'm counting on receiving right now is some social services from the Canadian government, from unemployment insurance and the Canada Pension Plan disability benefits, because you know what? I've been paying taxes for a long time. I've been given, and it's time to receive. So shout out to the Canadian government. Time to step up and help me right now, please. All right, if you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to follow along, please check out my main website at www.chronicallywell.club. On that website, you can find links to my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You can also find links to the essential oils work that I do, which is doTERRA, mydoterra.com/chronicallywellclub, as well as the neurostimulation devices, which is voxlife.com/chronicallywellclub. I am available to work as a health coach with people with MS and other autoimmune diseases around the world. I do workshops, speaking events, home health audits, so feel free to reach out to Rebecca at chronicallywell.club. That's my email address, and I do try and respond to everyone who does reach out, and I really hope you do. Don't think that you don't matter, because you do. I care about every one of my listeners, and I really, truly, sincerely want to connect with you. So for now, everyone, create an amazing day for yourselves and be well.